Hello, and welcome to my tutorial on how to use the software ActivInspire to engage students when you are doing lessons in the classroom. My name is Jennifer Shea. I teach fifth grade at Slippery Rock Area Elementary. Um, so let me get started. I'm going to share my screen with you here. I have several flip charts to share with you. I'm going to start off with my presentation chart that explains why I use flip charts in the classroom. Number one, it increases student engagement, mostly because it encourages the use of multiple styles of learning, visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. You see those kids who really want to be up and moving, just begging to be called on and volunteering to come up to the board and use the interactive features that you have worked into your flip charts. And it really just keeps student interest and engagement while you're teaching. It also maintains an optimal pace for your lesson. You don't have to flip back and forth between different screens in order to show what you want to show. And finally, it allows you to write on your visuals and come back to them later in the lesson. I find this really important because if I would like to write something on, say, an organizer and I want to come back to it later, I don't want to have to erase my screen in order to see what I have written already in the lesson. So to get started, I thought it would be good if we became familiar with the tools on ActivInspire. The tools on the toolbar are really important over here. They make it very easy as you are building your flip charts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I think most people are familiar with the basic tools, such as the pen and the highlighter. Adding shapes is something that you will do as you build an interactive chart, and we will do some of that together when we work on building an actual instructional flip chart together. Let's see. This I use a lot to clear what I have written. You can also clear objects off of the screen, which will basically clear everything off of the screen. This will restart or refresh the page back to how you originally had it saved. This is a good button here because say you did something, made a mistake and did something that you want to undo, you can undo the last step that you just did. Other than that, I occasionally use, I'm trying to see where the bucket tool, here's the bucket tool. The bucket tool will allow you to fill the page with color. If you would like to use the bucket tool, you just choose the bucket tool, you pick a color you would like, and then it will fill the background or whatever you click on with the bucket. So those are the main tools that I use over here on the toolbar. I also use Desktop Annotate a lot. Desktop Annotate is a great trick that a lot of people don't know about. And here's what happens. If you click right here, it says Desktop Annotate if you hover. If you click that, it is going to place your toolbar for ActivInspire on anything on your screen. So say that you have an organizer that you would like to write on. You can use the ActivInspire toolbar now on anything you put on your screen. So that is a handy tool, and I do use that when I don't build a flip chart and I would like to be able to write on my screen easily. So you can click on it again, it will take you back to your original flip chart. So that is an important thing you need to look at and be familiar with the tools. I use this menu here in order to mostly insert links. You have to hover and carefully move down here, insert links to websites, YouTube videos, that sort of thing. So I do use this a lot, and we will do that together as we build a chart. So basically the toolbar, and up here at the top, you also have pretty much the same options you can find on your toolbar in menu form at the top. So you can take a look at those and notice the different options available at the top. Also, browsers. Browsers are a very important tool to use if you are going to make charts. So the browsers are located under View at the top, down to Browsers. And the first important browser, the simplest, is the page browser. Kind of like PowerPoint, it's the same thing. You can switch from page to page using the page browser. You can delete pages easily by right-clicking and deleting them. You can move pages around by dragging and dropping them, so the page browser is important. Then you have the resource browser. The resource browser is next, and it is basically just different resources that they have available for you to use. Under gadgets, I sometimes will use things like a spinner or a countdown timer, that sort of thing. I will demonstrate a few of those, but you can play around and see what all there is to offer. There are themes like pre-made templates with different themes. There are paper options that you can choose, and patterns. So basically, whatever you click on, you can find the options that you can then add into your flip chart on the right. So those are important. And finally, the object browser. The object browser is probably the trickiest one. But it is important as you are building charts to understand when you're trying to slide and hide different text, that sort of thing, what the layers and what the things on the object browser mean. So we will look at that also later in the when we look at this simile chart together and build one together. Basically, if you click on each item, it will be one of the things you have added to your chart. And there are layers: top layer, middle layer, bottom layer, background layer. So that is useful as you get better at making charts and would like to arrange your items correctly so you can slide them behind one another. Okay, so in the past, when I did the class at the middle school, I have this handout. I'm going to just briefly go over, I have the next page, I have it blown up, some of the ideas that I had on this handout. I just snipped and pasted this here from my actual Word document that I created in Microsoft Word. So we're going to start by creating a chart together using using all of these different methods combined into one chart. So we will be importing a PDF this time, not a PowerPoint, to start our chart out. We will be copying and pasting from Google Photos to get photos that we would like to use or images that we would like to use into our flip chart. We will use the snipping tool to snip screenshots of certain things that we would like to see in our flip chart. And then we will add shapes using the shape tool in an ActivInspire. So these are all of the best ways to get your chart actually started, and I will demonstrate those when we build our chart. Let's see. Then making the chart interactive. You have a lot of options. It's really up to your creativity, but you have a lot of options to make your chart interactive. One of the easiest things to do is to type words that can be slid around, matched up, categorized, that sort of thing. You can hide words or other images behind shapes or clip art. That makes it more fun for the kids because they can come and move a word from behind an object and they find that to be interesting. You can use the camera or area snapshot tool to cut parts of your worksheet, slide them around. This is something that I use a lot. I might have a worksheet that was meant for kids to cut and categorize words. I can do that on the screen really quickly with the snapshot tool. We will work on that also. Adding video links and websites. This I do all the time because it's so much easier just to have all of the videos and YouTube videos that you would like to use ready to go, already previewed, and you know what to expect, and have those embedded right into your flip chart. So I do that a lot. And finally, I will demonstrate a little bit. I don't use Magic Ink a lot, but I will demonstrate just a few ways that you can use it to make your charts more interesting. There are a lot more things you can do with ActivInspire. I find that these are the things that I can do quickly and easily, so they are the things that I use most often. So let's build a chart together. I thought what would work best is if we just started with a chart that I created. I'll show you what I put on a page, and then we will quickly create a page the same way together so you can see how it's done. Okay, so I'm going to switch over here to my simile and metaphor chart. This is a chart that I made, and it has more in it than I would probably use in one lesson, but I wanted to show you all of the different tools and different things that I do. So this might be an intro screen. It has two posters that I snipped and put on the screen. It has text that I typed. It has a Bitmoji that I actually did a drag and drop from the Bitmoji extension on Chrome. And it has 3 songs that I linked from YouTube and renamed them and put the time or the amount of time it would take to listen to them. So if we were to, and I also have a yellow background. So let's take a look at how I would do this. Now, before I do this page, I would like to start the entire chart off by importing my main PDF that I'm going to use throughout this chart. So for this chart, I want to use many pages from a certain PDF that I have called a simile picture pack. And what I find to be the easiest thing to do, so you do not have to snip and paste every single image that you want in your chart, is I find it easiest to start by importing your largest PDF that you want visuals from. So if I go to my demo blank chart, I would like to start my chart off by importing a PDF. So you go to the menu, go down to File, Import, PDF. Now it's going to ask you to search your computer to find, you should have your PDF saved somewhere on your computer. I have mine saved on my flash drive under EdCamp Materials, and it is called Simile Picture Pack. So I will double click on it, import it, and it will bring in the entire, takes a few minutes, it will bring in the entire PDF that maybe you got free on Teacher Pay Teacher, maybe you paid for it on Teacher Pay Teacher, or however else you may have gotten that PDF. So I have that imported. Now, this is a time when I would use my page browsers. So I would go up here to my browser, I would turn on my page browser, because many of these I probably will not want to use. So I would highlight and just hit delete on my computer, or I could right click and hit delete, okay? I could keep that particular screen. I didn't originally, but I could keep similes using like. Oh, and then there's similes. I know why it's like that, because later on it's similes using as. So actually, I'll just get rid of that one too. So I'm going to get rid of anything I don't want. And this is a good chance for you to decide. Obviously, I would not use all of these. I would get rid of, I would go through and read the ones and try to figure out what I might want to keep and what I might want to get rid of. So for now, I'm just going to keep them just to make it simple, but you could delete as many as you would like from this. Okay, so I've started off with my longest PDF and imported it. You can only import one PDF as far as I have figured out per flip chart. So once I've imported my longest PDF, I now can go in and I can start adding. You can see here is where that is on my already created chart. It's kind of in the middle. But I really wanted to start my lesson off with a few posters, maybe a song to listen to, and some other things. So I'm going to go to my demo chart where I, where is that? Demo, oh my goodness, okay, gotta go back here. Oh, I see what it did. Okay, sorry about that. What it did was it opened, I'm gonna get rid of this one then. It actually opened a new, it will do that. Sometimes when you import, it opens an entire new tab. So right there is that. I'm actually going to save it, and I'm going to save it as demo chart. I had already set up a flip chart for that, but I'll save this one. And this will be, now that I've imported that, and it will be my demo chart. Okay, so I have all of those pages sitting there ready to go. Now I wanted to insert now pages at the beginning, because I want to be able to have room to put some other things prior to those. So I'm going to insert 2 pages, insert, and you go to insert page, blank page before. So I'm at the beginning of my chart, at the beginning of my chart, I can use this to go back up somehow. It went way to the, it wasn't at the beginning. Sorry, insert page, blank page before. We're here, insert page, blank page before. Okay, so now we're on the first page of the chart. I'm going to make the first page of my chart look like this. I would like 2 posters to start with. So what do? I go to the PDFs that have those posters that I'm interested in right here. I make sure I can see the entire poster on the screen. I may have to make it smaller or larger. Now, snipping tool. This is another main way that I get my content into my flip charts. I take the snipping tool. If you do not have this shortcut down here for the snipping tool, looks like a pair of scissors. You can go over here to your little search bar and start typing snipping tool. It will come up just like that. You can get your snipping tool. It looks like this if you click here, or if you type it over here, you hit new for a new snip. It will make the screen kind of look like this, and it gives you this little X. Okay, so I'm going to basically frame whatever I would like to have snipped. I want that snipped. So now I can minimize all this, go back to my chart, right click and hit paste. There is my poster. So I have my metaphor poster now. I also wanted a simile poster. So I go back to my PDF. I flip to the simile poster. I get my snipping tool ready. I snip my simile poster. Come back to my chart and right click and paste. Now to resize these, you just click on them until they're highlighted. The bar on the little circle down here with the line maintains the true, like the orientation of it, or the dimensions. So you want to slide it using that. Okay, so you have your two posters. So I'm trying to make my page back to, yes, I had it opposite, but back to look like this. So I did that. I then would type in my text if I wanted to type. Now I'm not going to do everything, but I would type my text in like this. Okay, use simile, and it's on my font that's different font, but you can change your font. I can't even, similes, and this font's hard to read, metaphors. Okay, in writing. So whatever you want to say, okay? So I had some writing up there. I wanted to say, use similes and metaphors to make your writing more interesting. I chose a Bitmoji here of me saying you can do it. I did that by, I can show you that real quick. Let's see, to do a Bitmoji, you would minimize this. I can get rid of my snipping tool. No, I don't want to save it. I need to go to ActivInspire. So I need to go to Chrome. So what I need is to get to a new tab in Chrome and minimize that at the top. So now I have my two things going here. I have my flip chart over here on this tab, and I have Chrome over here. So what I wanted to do was, if you have the Bitmoji extension right up here, it looks like this. You have to get that extension. If you don't have it, you could look up how to get a Bitmoji extension on Chrome. But basically, I click on this. If I would like my Bitmoji to be in there, I find the Bitmoji that I used. I don't see that one right off the hand, so I'm just going to grab another one real quickly just to demonstrate. But you're able to actually drag and drop the Bitmoji from this side over to this side. So that's a quick and easy way if you'd like to add Bitmojis. I haven't done that, but I've seen a lot of on my different training that I have done where people have been using those, so I thought I would give them a try. Now you want your pointer. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want that on there right now. So that is how you get a Bitmoji. You just drag and drop. Now, how do I get my YouTube videos? What I do when I get a YouTube video to put into my chart is I go to YouTube. You do have to go to YouTube. So you come over here to YouTube. You find the video that you're interested in. Let's say this one was one you liked. You would preview it, make sure it's a good video. Let's doing an ad. Okay, so we'll skip the ad. So you would preview it, see if you like it. I'm going to say we liked this one. You click up here till it's blue, right click, copy. So you copy that URL. Now you can go back to your flip chart, go to your menu, insert, it's very sometimes it's tricky to slide, insert website, link website. So what I do is I insert that website and paste it, right click and paste it there, and then it will put that URL up in there. Now, when you click on this, this will link you right to that video. Now, I don't really like to just leave the URL because sometimes I'll forget what it is. So I usually right click on it, go up to edit text, and I make it a different name. So I might make it simile song, okay? And I usually also put the amount of time it would take to watch that video, especially if it's like a video and not a song, because if it's something long, I need to know if I have enough time in my lesson to actually use it at any given point. So last thing on this page is I use the bucket tool. I thought it might be nice. Whoops, where is my bucket? Oh, here it is, the bucket tool. Click on it. It's on yellow right there already, so I wanted my page to be yellow. So I filled in the background with yellow. So that's a quick example of snipping and pasting posters, adding text, adding a Bitmoji, and adding some songs. Okay, so now once you have these embedded, if you click on it, you can see the little blue arrow means it will take you directly to that video on another screen. So that was the first page. This was just a simple poster. I simply went to the poster that I wanted. Sometimes you have to make your PDFs smaller. You can pick whatever posters you want, but I wanted to pick a few posters from here for an intro. So you could do the same thing as we did before. Once you find a poster that you like, you simply get your snipping tool out, you snip it, as much of it as you want, and then you can minimize everything. And then you would, on our new chart, on the second page, you would just paste it. So it's super easy to snip and paste, okay? So there we go. You can size it however you want, but that gives you a visual for the kids that, you know, if they maybe tune you out when you're speaking, having a visual up will help. Let's see, the next thing. Okay, this is something I use a lot. This is a page that is an example of sorting items. So we have similes and metaphors. It started out as a worksheet. It started out as a worksheet that looks like this. So simile and metaphor was just a cut and paste sort of worksheet. You could have the kids cut and paste it in class and then also have this on the screen, or you can just do it on the screen to save paper. So what did I do in order to create this page? This is a little bit tricky, but it's definitely something the kids really enjoy. I hid the words, I think, behind my head. Yeah, so right behind, it's good to have a spot, you know, if you're hiding things, you know exactly where, because you have to pull them from exactly where they're hiding. So I hid them so that they were all right behind my face. So the kids would come and pull out one of the phrases. You are my sunshine. So is this a simile? Do you see like or as? You would put it where the kids would put it on the side they want to. So how did I build this? Well, let me show you on the demo chart. So go back to the demo chart, the next page. Well, I need a page. Let me see. So I was on my second page. I need to insert a blank page after the current page. So now I have a page. Okay, so this was a PDF originally. It looked like this. So what I need to do, a quick and easy way, now I could retype all these words and just retype them into the flip chart. Sometimes I don't want to retype everything. I just want to snip things. So here's what I would do to start this off. First, I would snip this entire image. Now I used to snip little piece by little piece because you could snip each little box. But what I found was there's an actual easier way to do it. So if I snip this entire image, I come here and I paste it, right click and paste. Okay, so now I have these boxes. I can make them a little smaller. Now, what I have found that really works very well is instead of using this snipping tool down here to snip each one off of the PDF, it works a lot better if I use I'm trying to see where it is up here. I use a key. Okay, you can do right here, camera. So under tools, camera, area snapshot, which is Control-Shift-K, which I do use Control-Shift-K. But if I click that, what it brings up is this. It brings up this box, which may be in the way, but this little thing over here, you have to slide it. And here's how I do this. I know I want to snip each one of these. So the cool thing about this is if I put that exactly to that size and I then come down here, snapshot 2, and I'm going to do current page. So it's going to take a piece of that and it makes it separate like that. Now I will continue to do Control-Shift-K, but the nice thing is it brings up the exact same size. So I just slide it, current page, move it out of the way. Control-Shift-K, or I can go up to my toolbar again. But I find that this is probably the quickest way to do this. I'd have to snip each one of these, okay? So Control-Shift-K, and then I just try to snip all of these. And I just pile them up down here at the bottom temporarily. So I'll do a couple more. I won't do all of them. We'll do 2 more like down here. So I do this one, move that out of the way. Current page, and Control-Shift-K. And it's nice, it kind of comes up in the location it was previously so you don't lose track. Okay, so let's say I had done all of them. I could get rid of, delete, just click and delete that original. I could go up here and I could find, these all kind of stack up. So you can find your simile and metaphor. Now remember, I'm trying to make a chart that kind of looks like this, okay? So however, whichever side you would like, but you can change the size of these just by resizing. And I realized, I apologize, my neighbor is mowing right now. Hopefully that's not ruining my video. Okay, so I'm gonna resize these. So once I have these snipped, resized, I believe what I did is I had the bucket and I made it pink. Pick whatever color you like. Made my background pink. I used the shape tools by making a line. So I just picked a line. I wrote my line down like this. Okay, so I did that. Now, if you don't want your line, if you don't want your line to move around, you can always click on an object and right click and lock it so it doesn't move around when the kids slide things over top of it. Okay, so and then I have these ready to go. Now what I decided to do in my chart originally, I just had those stacked at the bottom in a pile. And then I thought, well, it would be fun to have them pull them out from behind some object. So I did a Bitmoji picture. You could do clip art, you could do a Bitmoji, whatever you want. So let's see. So if I go back to my demo chart, I just would want to, now here's the thing. I snipped all of these. They can be piled up in a pile. If I would like to hide them, this will help demonstrate. Let me see. I will go and I could do another Bitmoji. Let me see. I could minimize this. I could get another Bitmoji. Okay, let's do this one. So I'm going to pull this over and drop it. Okay. Now, since I pulled it over last, now the way I got it to say similes and metaphors is when you're in the Bitmoji, if you type in the words, it will make Bitmojis with the actual words on them. I'm not going to take time right now to do that. Okay, so we have these and you can hide these. Now I could lock this. What I need to do is lock this top picture. Otherwise it will move. So I can lock that top picture. Now I'm able to find what's hidden behind without moving the top picture. Now I want to demonstrate when I go to my object browser, if I click on this, this is on top, image 8, this Bitmoji. That means that anything else will slide behind it. The shape is the line, and all of the other images are the words that are behind because we snipped those, okay? Well, these first two are the titles. But in order to slide something behind, it needs to be underneath in the object browser. Now let's say I only snipped like 3 or 4 different options off of my chart. Let's say I had snipped them and they were like in order and I wanted to shuffle them. I could use this because it goes 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say I wanted to make sure they were a little more out of order. I can move things around here so that whatever's on top is what will get pulled out first. So if I have image 5 on top, that's coming out first. Then image 7. So whatever, you have to kind of, if it matters what order they're pulled out in, you can use the object browser in order to arrange things in the correct order. So now I basically have that page made. It didn't take too long, and it will be a fun activity for the kids to do. Okay, so let's go back to the original. I believe now so now we're into the part of the lesson where I was using the original PDF that I imported. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me go, I hit desktop annotate. There we go. Okay, so going back to the demo chart, next would come my original activity. So I have all of these images. I could resize them a little if they're a little too large. What I made for this original activity was a little writing activity for the students. So I have those pictures already sitting there because I had imported them. And the way I wanted this to work was I would cover up the simile or metaphor, and I wanted the kids to write their own first and then to come and see what the author of this PDF wrote. So just as a little a fun activity to encourage them to write similes. So all of these images are already sitting here, as many as you wanted. You could have deleted some of them. I simply go to my shape tool. I get my box. I can change the color to whatever I would like the color to be, and then I build a box. And this way, gotta go back, get rid of that guy. This way, the kids can come up and move the box. They're excited to see if their simile is similar to what that author had written, that sort of thing. So you would just continue to do that throughout. Okay, now let me see. I believe there was one other thing I had done on one of these pages to demonstrate how, so you could have the kids move the boxes. Oh, here it was. Okay, or another thing that I don't do often, but sometimes I might do this, I can create a little viewer right here, and I can have the kids come up and use this little viewer in order to read something that's hidden, or in order to find something that's hidden. So another thing, let me see if this will work Magic Ink wise. Yeah, also, which is just is even easier, is to just go up to the tools up here to Magic Ink, and then they can come down and basically erase whatever shape was on that top layer that you created. So that's a really quick and easy. It's also here on the toolbar. This is the Magic Ink. So if you have a shape let me go to the object browser. If you have a shape, when you look at the browsers, well, I already got rid of it, but let me refresh this page. I'm going to refresh it. Okay, so we have the revealer that I created. That's this one. It's linked to some Magic Ink, which is Pen 7. We have this revealer that's linked to some Magic Ink also. And we have this shape, which is also in the top layer. If you have something you want to get erased with Magic Ink, it needs to be under this top layer section. If it's in the middle layer, the Magic Ink, I don't believe will do anything to it. So that would be like this image here. So for example, if I get my Magic Ink and I try to erase this, nothing will happen. It only erases items that are moved into the top layer. So keep that in mind if you're trying to do a quick Magic Ink sort of activity. Kids love to erase using the Magic Ink. Now this viewer here, sometimes if I don't have Magic Ink in it, it's just open and you can just move it to different items. But I can show you how I made these viewers. To make these viewers, let's see, I went to browsers. I went to gadgets, I believe. There we go. Okay, so I went to revealer. I pulled one over like that. Okay. Now, this basically, like, it's in the top. So what it would do is, if you say you just had a word and you wanted to say, show me the evidence in the text, move the revealer to show what you think is, the best evidence in the text, or the best word that shows a context clue, something like that. But if you want to make this so it actually looks through a layer, you have to do something kind of tricky. What you need to do is you have to go to the tools, you have to go to the magic ink, and you actually have to color a space that is colored with magic ink. You have to hold the pen down and make sure it's hard to see because you can't tell where it's coloring. I realize that, but you have to color it in like that, okay? Then go get your pointer again. Now I'm going to go to my object browser here. Okay, now let me click this. Now this is pen 9. That is the ink that I did. This is Revealer 1. So I need to, first of all, I need to move that up. Revealer 1, pen 9. Okay, Revealer 1 and pen 9 are beside each other in the top layer, and they're overlapping. One's on top of the other. So hopefully this works, because sometimes it can be tricky. And it's already doing it. I've been having a little trouble getting this. If you capture these two items together, they're highlighted together. Then I will group them. Down here, right click, go to grouped. Now they're grouped together. So now, oops, they're not grouped on top of each other. Okay, I'll have to fix it. Let me see. So yeah, so you have to get them. Let's see, this one, and somehow, why did that move? Okay, let me see here. Grouped. Probably gonna have to do that here. Well, I should have had them on top of each other when I, okay, so now they're not grouped anymore. So I wanted this, let me see, to be, yeah, pen 9. And what I can do is make it fit. So before I grouped it, I should have made sure they were on top of each other. They must have somehow moved when I went to group them, but I wanted them to be grouped together. Now it'll be tricky because they're touching some other things, which makes it hard. I think that there's a way to, yeah, there we go. If you hit Control, you can highlight those two, and I believe it will group them. Let's see if I got success here, because I don't do this one very often. I did. Okay, so I got those two on top of each other. I ended up clicking each one of these and using Control and clicking this, and then that, clicking right there, and then on this little menu hitting grouped. Okay, so they're grouped. So you can do a tricky thing like that. A lot easier to just use the magic ink tool to erase with. But that's what I'm saying. A lot of whatever creative things you can get good at and you can do quickly are the best things to do. Now, at the end of this lesson, I thought, well, we would just do some worksheet practice. So they would probably just have this at their desk. But if you wanted the visual on the screen, you would simply do the same sort of thing. You would go down to your PDF, you would find the practice sheet, you would snip and paste whatever part of this, maybe you only want them to do 4. You would snip and paste whatever part of this you wanted into your flip chart. So I had several worksheets I wanted up here just in case we wanted to do them and I want them for the visual. I have the answer key snipped and pasted afterwards. And you can use those, and even if you put them in your chart, you can skip over them. You can use them if extra time is needed, that sort of thing. Now, this is an example of a Word document that I had created to go with one of the reading stories in our reading book. So I created this because this is what I wanted them to look for in the story. I could do the same thing, use the snipping tool, snip it. I can right click and paste it into this chart. This was an example, the same thing, it just had a little bit of scaffolding on it for the students. So I would maybe have both of these versions up there, one to explain it, then I might show this. So just another way for you to do a visual. I sometimes even like to snip a piece of the reading book out. If you have the reading book open on your screen, you simply go to that screen, use the snipping tool, What I wanted was to, well, I'll erase this. I wanted the kids to maybe come up and find the simile, highlight it for me before we write it into the chart. So they would be able to, they might have their books open, be looking. You could get a volunteer to come up and use the highlighter tool to highlight evidence in the text or things that you would like to call to their attention in the text. This is all done with snipping and pasting, so I'm not going to redo that on the demo chart. Now, this was, let's see, oh, this is maybe in your lesson you want to end with a scoot or with a read the room sort of thing. So what I had was a scoot that had 24 cards. I sometimes just spread them around the room and say, make sure you find all 24 cards. I could have the first one snipped. If I was to go to my PDF that had this particular thing on it, they looked like this. So I could snip one or two to do as examples, just to get them started, which is what I did here. I snipped card number 1. I drag and dropped a Bitmoji. I made a title. I put a shape behind it just for visual. That's basically mostly just snipping or typing there. So here I snipped and pasted the answer key so that at the end, if we wanted to go over the answers, I could put the answer key up. I can give directions. This was just another example of I found this that I liked, so I snipped and pasted it. I linked some simile songs here. And here's a poster, two more posters that I snipped and pasted. So that is basically how I built this entire chart in order to try to gain student attention and keep the lesson flowing as I went along. So that's the end of that chart. Now I'm going to go back to my presentation chart because I had some additional tips and ideas that I wanted to go over with you. Some things that I do is I like to choose a theme that the students enjoy. I make flip charts up for all of the language components for the Wonders curriculum because I find those packets to be just not very motivating. So I make up a chart to go with each one and I pick a theme often. Sometimes it's Star Wars, anything that the kids seem to be liking at the moment. And I try to use clip art from Google, which I did not demonstrate yet. So let me show how I do that real quick. So if you go just to Google, I will maximize this. You're just going to google.com. And let's say I want to do Star Wars for my theme. I just get images. You can do clip art, you can do photos, whatever you find. And then I would just like right click, copy the image and come back here to my chart, right click and paste the image. You might have to resize it. Sometimes they come onto the screen huge and you need to move it way up until you can see this and start making it smaller and smaller. So I would just get images and find ways to make it interactive and interesting as I built my chart each time. Add color using the bucket. Sometimes it just makes it nice to have different colors in the background. I already showed you how to use that Bitmoji extension to drag and drop. Using your gadgets on the object browser is a fun way to add some interest. And finding free materials on Teacher Pay Teacher I mostly build all of my charts out of materials that I get off of Teacher Pay Teacher, whether I pay for them or whether I get free PDFs. It's just a good way to get material to make your lessons more interesting. Now, I will end with a few examples of just charts that I made. This, sometimes I have everything on the screen. In this case, the kids, I believe, had a shape they had to choose from a pile, and it went with these definitions. So it was like they had to stand on the yes or no side, and then we looked to see which one was correct underneath of the bar. Here was just one of my charts where I was using language, pulling something out from behind just to make it more interesting. This is a game, like a math game, giving problems on the whiteboard and keeping track for sides of the room. This is very similar to what I did with similes, with personification. That's an example of something I would snip and make into a sort. even just making pictures just so that the kids have something to look at. This was a move that guess what action, we're doing action verbs, that sort of thing. Then let's see. Yeah, this is another language chart matching the correct form with the picture. Another drag and drop. I snipped each one of these items and the kids could sort them to the side that's correct. Making games is a lot of fun. This was a knockoff game, and the directions I had on the next page. So I would, go against the students and they would roll a dice, and then covering, you have to get two to save the spot. So they had a lot of fun with that. This is one of the kindergarten ones, just like nonsense word, just a game for extra time. This is an example of sliding words. I snipped these, each word. You could type each word just as easily. Another game. So there's just so many things you can do quickly. You could snip each one of these letters and have the kids slide them. Use the object browser. The kids love to get a spinner. 0 to 8, I believe it does. The only thing is I haven't figured out how to change the number on the spinner. As far as it always goes from 0 to 8, I'm still trying to figure that out. You can pull from your gadget. These things are from the object from here, under gadgets, from the resource browser. Sorry. So there's just different things you can try out. This is another example of being able to have the kids reveal something underneath. Using gadgets can be fun if you can figure out, just different ones to try. This was a game the kids really loved. They pulled cards and read from cards, but then they had to use the spinner, and we worked our way around this board. So yeah, so those are just a few more ways that I, try to find ways to make it interesting and interactive. Go back to my presentation. So I believe that is the end of my presentation. I have that, if you want any information, I have that handout, the Word document that has my tips on it, if you didn't get that at the first class that I did. If you would like me to explain anything further, just, send me an email. And other than that, those are the main ways I use this on a daily basis. Like I said, there are a lot of other things you can do with ActivInspire. You can make containers, and there are fun things you can do with that, but it would take a long time to explain that. So I tried to stick with the basics and the simple things that you can do in order to just spruce up your lessons and keep the kids working hard. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining me for Engage and Inspire with ActivInspire, session code JJS01.